I've seen a lot of misinformation lately about the state of killer whale dorsal fins, specifically dorsal fin collapse, and that it is caused by depression and stress. And I wanted to talk about it and try and clear some stuff up. I'll be focusing mainly on the orcas at SeaWorld since they're the ones I know the most about. SeaWorld currently has 21 orcas. Corky 2, 53 years old, Ulysses, 40 years old, Orchid, 29 years old, Keat, 25 years old, Shuka, 25 years old, Nakai, 16 years old, Ikaika, 15 years old, Kalia, 13 years old, Makani, 5 years old, Amaya, 3 years old, Katina, 41 years old, Kayla, 29 years old, Trua, 12 years old, Nalani, 11 years old, Malia, 11 years old, Makayo, 7 years old, Takara, 26 years old, Kayukot, 26 years old, Tua, 18 years old, Sakari, 8 years old, and Kamea, 4 years old. Of those 21 animals, 9 of those are male, 11 of them are female. Of the males, 8 individuals, or 88.9%, have an irregular dorsal fin. The only one without an irregular dorsal fin is 5-year-old Makani. Of the females, 5 individuals, or 45.45%, have an irregular dorsal fin. Overall, that is 13 out of 21, or 61.9%, that have an irregular dorsal fin. Irregular does not mean fully collapsed. Kayla here has an irregular dorsal fin, but you can see it's not completely collapsed. But Keat does have a fully collapsed dorsal fin, which also counts as irregular. Irregular dorsal fins do happen in the wild. They're not as common as SeaWorld says, but they're not as uncommon as organisations like PETA say either. A dorsal fin has no bone structure in it whatsoever, it's simply muscle. Dorsal fin collapse is more common in male orcas because their dorsal fins can reach upwards of 6 feet or 2 meters tall. It is held up by the ocean currents and the constant movement of the whales. Gravity has less effect on the dorsal fin when the whales are constantly moving with the strong currents. Most cases of irregular dorsal fins in wild orcas are caused by strandings. When an orca is out of the water for too long, gravity starts to pull the fin down, giving it a lean or a curve. Other common causes include injury or sickness that force the whale to spend excess time at the surface, causing the dorsal to lean or collapse. Sometimes it can also be caused by boat strikes or even getting tangled in fishing line. In captivity, there are no currents to hold the fin up, and they spend a lot of time at the surface of the water because that's where the trainers are and all the enrichment is. Because of that, the dorsal fin begins to lean and collapse. Genetics play a large role in dorsal fin collapse in captivity as well. The most successful breeding female in captivity is Katina at 41 years old, who has 7 calves. She herself has an irregular dorsal fin, which is unusual for a female, and of her 7 calves, 6 of them had irregular dorsal fins. Kalina had a leaning dorsal fin similar to her mother. Katarina's fin had started to lean just like Kalina's had before her death. Taku had a fully collapsed dorsal fin by the time he passed away. Anna was the only one of her calves with a straight dorsal fin. Una? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Ikaika has a fully collapsed dorsal fin. Nalani has a leaning dorsal fin, and Makayo, at only 7 years old, already has a leaning dorsal fin. Whereas Corky 2, a 53-year-old wild-caught orca, and Lolita, who is the same age, also wild-caught and lives in some of the most horrendous conditions imaginable, have both managed to keep their dorsal fins straight. If the state of killer whale dorsal fins had anything to do with stress, depression, or ill health, don't you think that those two would have collapsed dorsal fins by now? Even a little bit?